Yes, now, and welcome back to episode 65 of the Top Loaded podcast. And it has been one very important update slash news release this week, which we'll be talking about in depth. But first of all, Harry, how are you doing, my friend?
Yes, very well. Thank you, Ronnie, mate. How are you?
Can't complain at all. Well, I can complain because I was in the gym earlier refreshing Tops's website. And then after all of that, they said, we're going to use the raffle system. Oh, great. Which is actually my first talking point of the evening because obviously Tops have now said they are using this release raffle system, which I can't get my head round because obviously they have Tops UK, Tops Deutschland, Tops Italia, Tops España, and only one of them countries can use a raffle system because in the rest of the countries it's illegal. So obviously UK are now going to the raffle system, especially for Inception after it actually crashed the whole page. But it's a bit double-edged, double-bladed sword kind of thing with this raffle system because it's good. It gives everyone a chance. Inception is limited to one box per person rather than two, which is good. However, it's one of them that who's going to win it? Everyone knows that people with allocations still going to get the allocation, but how many boxes actually are there available? And now everyone, what they're going to do rather than refresh the UK site, they're just going to refresh Spain, Germany, and Italy, and then take all their boxes. So it's a bit of a double entendre that some people are going to benefit from it, but most of the people still will miss out anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it brings a bit more like authenticity to it. I think, rather than having it's all this speculation about bots and people being able to get like, 5, 6 boxes when someone else can't even get on the site. So I do quite like it. I think I'd say I'm a bit of a fan. I mean, I don't really buy boxes from Tops anyway. I think the only box I ever bought was the sidecards box that wasn't hard to get. But yeah, I do think it brings a nice edge to it in terms of it's not necessarily a guarantee. It's like a bit like a drop when you buy like a pair of Yeezys get released. Everyone just puts a name in a hat. If you get lucky, you get lucky. So I think it brings that good side out where it's like you can only get one per customer. You're not necessarily guaranteed a box. You have to enter into a raffle and it's just randomly drawn. So I think it's good in that sense. Like I said, it brings a bit more authenticity to it. You're not just guaranteed boxes because you've got a bot that works on these websites. But like I said, on the flip side, so you aren't guaranteed a box. It's only one per customer. So yeah, it's a bit of a, like you say, it's a bit of a catch-22. Because like I said, you can go on there, you can enter the raffle and you win it, cool, quid's in. You don't win it, it's unfortunate because if it wasn't a raffle, you might have got one. So I would say I'm for it. I think it is quite a good new system they're releasing. Just how long will it last before there's another hiccup, another error? Because like I said, they used the raffle, then they're going to put it back to the normal system to test how successful it was. Now they're pulling it and putting it back to the raffle again. So typical Tops obviously can't make their minds up. Like I said, I think it's a pretty cool new release. I think it's pretty sweet in terms of the new raffle system they're doing. So just I guess depends, time will tell, and how long it will actually last / they'll use it for.
And obviously, we're talking about potentially which could be, and a lot of people are already calling it the release of 2023. I remember the hype was there before for Inception in terms of last year's product, but with the new additions of on-card autos, you've got these quad autos, you've got booklet autos, you've got everything in there. Before we actually go into like the checklist, which we have now out, which Tops have put out, the hype from the first tweet that they put out last night, it went mental. I can't remember a product really that the checklist, not even checklist, the pictures of little teasers has done such a big impact and literally has caused mass chaos on the Topps website and no one can even get on it.
Yeah, I think it's one of them releases where I think where they start releasing certain card by card,
Yeah.
it gained a lot of attention. And I think from what we've seen so far as well, some of the cards that are out are just absolutely nuts. And I think that teaser has then pretty much put everybody in line to try and grab a box. I mean, I don't think the price was even that bad. I think it's like 125.
Yeah.
I think it is for a box that's got some big hitters in there. I think it's guaranteed and was always going to be a very tough one to get. So I mean, yeah, the way they released it was going to gauge a lot of attention anyway in terms of the card by card and gradually releasing the quad booklets, some of the normal autos. So yeah, I mean, it was always guaranteed to have a lot of attention. And I mean, trying to get on the Topps website now, we're experiencing a high volume of traffic and using a virtual queue to meet the amount of views on the website. Sounds great. But like I said, it was always guaranteed to have a lot of interest. So just the way they actually roll it out is the issue.
Yeah, I remember as it was all getting slowly released, everyone was talking about it, and then they revealed that they actually had on-card autos. Obviously, it's very limited amount within the actual set. For people who don't know, the box configuration is 7 premium cards per box, 1 auto with 2 numbered cards. But one of the main ones everyone's looking at, apart from the booklets, is the actual on-card autos, and we do have the checklist. All of these are just one plan by themselves, bar 1 dual on-card auto, which is Bellingham and Musiala, which is very impressive for a dual on-card auto to have 2 of the best young players. Obviously, Musiala after scoring the winning goal the weekend to win the Bundesliga for Bayern Munich, but you got the likes of Bellingham, who's had on-card autos already in his platinum set, then Grealish, who's going to have on-card autos anyway in his platinum set, Musiala, and then it was mainly legends of Ian Rush, Keegan, Seaman, Keown, Lineker, Cole, Hoddle, Barnes, Cantona, and then the only other current player is Karim Benzema. So it's a nice list there, but I think the ones that everyone's drooling over, so to speak, is the quad booklets, as we've said. And the one that was teased before everyone knew was Bellingham, Musiala, Haaland, and Pedri, obviously for the best young players in world football. And then when the checklist come out, obviously for us Arsenal fans, we were very happy. He says, well, but then one took my eye, which was Andres Iniesta, Lionel Messi, Sergio Busquets, and Xavi. It's just an incredible 4 players on that one. And obviously, the thing is, everyone's going to be people be weighing boxes to see if there's booklets in them. Not everyone will, but some people will. But surely that chase of these quad autos is going to be unbelievable.
I mean, obviously, I've just got it now. I mean, looking at it, you've got Bellingham, Musiala, Haaland, and Pedri as a quad auto booklet. But also, you've gone through the Iniesta and Messi one. But it's even just the dual autos. I mean, you've got a then and now where you've got Ronaldo R9 and Vinny.
Yeah.
I assume that's Ronaldo R9 anyway.
Yeah.
You got Eto'o and Lewandowski, Kaká and Rafael Leao, Buffon and Donnarumma, Totti and Dybala. I mean, you've even got legend where you got Cafu and Totti, you got Keegan and Dalglish, Rooney and Van Persie. You've got Messi and Haaland, Bellingham and Makuku, Enzo Fernandez and Mikhailo Mudryk, Benzema and Lewandowski, Fati and Rafinha, Kaká and Pirlo. I mean, there's even Lauren James and Sam Kerr, Chelsea women's. I mean, like the checklist is stacked, stacked. And any of those dual quad autos, I mean, you're looking at some big bucks. I like the design though, like the black backdrop. I think it looks really clean. I said Inception did well last year, but I think this year is almost taking it to a whole nother level. The actual base auto checklist doesn't look too bad either. The likes of like Garnacho and Kunku, Gakpo, Camavinga. Obviously, I'm sure you spotted yet. You're right, Granit Xhaka. But there's some good rookie names in. Like I said, obviously Garnacho having an auto. I know he's got autos already in Topps Gold. But you've got some big names in there. Jarrod Bowen as well, which is a good one. Hector Bellerin, obviously ex-Arsenal. Erdegaard has an auto in Legacy as well, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, you've got a massive checklist. I said for £125 for a box. I mean, who necessarily wouldn't want to try their luck? I don't know what the actual breakdown is per box. 1 autograph and 2 parallels per box, which again isn't necessarily too bad. 7 cards a box, 1 auto, 2 parallels. So your chances obviously are inevitably pretty slim, but the chances of hitting something big is pretty special.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be it's going to be one of them that's going to be quite interesting to see the prices, obviously, on the resale market when a lot more people have got them, but also as well when they start to get broken as well, because these are going to be expensive boxes. Obviously, some people will be looking at it thinking, oh, how can some people be selling spots at more than £125 in terms of like the overall breaker? But the actual boxes are probably going to be 250, 300, even potentially more than that. So I think it's going to be a very interesting product to see when it starts first getting cracked. Obviously, it's an on-demand set. So who knows? The Bellingham Platinum set was only about a few weeks, but this one I would say you're probably looking at August, maybe the end of July, August. So it's not going to be one that arrives straight away. So people who are trying to get one do remember that it is a bit of a turnaround with these products. They're not already made, which is a shame. But that's how these ones work. And my one thing with this set, and I think there must be something going on with Arsenal and Topps at the moment, because obviously, like you say, there's a really nice Sam Kerr, Lauren James duel. Oh, I think that is such a good idea for a card. Not one Arsenal women's player made the checklist. It was all Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid in there. I think
Chelsea.
Chelsea. No Arsenal women. So obviously they've either forgot about us or like what they done with Project 22. The only one, far as we're aware, that was commissioned by Topps that didn't come out was Viviana Miedema. But then someone else pointed out, which I thought was quite interesting on Twitter, that every single week of Project 22, there was 5 cards, apart from the last week where there was only 3. So I wonder if there was another card with Viviana Miedema that never got released, which we'll never know. It'd be lost to the time. But it'd be interesting. And obviously, everyone says curse of the commentator watching football. It was the curse of the podcaster last week, because I did have a go at Topps. I had a go at Panini. I was like, I wonder if they actually make a proper set for the Women's World Cup. And literally, I think it was about an hour after the podcast went out, they announced the Don Ross Women's World Cup. And I was like, well, either they've heard me very quickly and they've got their move on, or they've actually done a really nice set. And obviously, Don Ross, everyone knows, is a lovely looking set. National landmarks, for example, are in Don Ross. People might say, why are they in there rather than Prism? But in like American sports, landmarks are the ones that come in Don Ross. But it's good to see a more premium set, because Topps have only brought out one women's set this year. The only one they brought out was the women's knockout. There's been no news at all about Chrome or any other set. So it's good to see Panini getting on board with the World Cup and also bringing out an actual set for collectors to go after. And also now it's Panini. Hopefully they might have different autos to Topps.
Yeah, I think, we saw how popular the women's Topps Chrome was first year, and how popular it's been, and how the prices have still pretty much remained the same even now. So I think for them to bring out a Don Ross set where you've got the likes of National Landmarks, and I'm sure we're both hoping that it's going to be one of the likes of Beth Meads, Leah Williamson, any Arsenal women's English on the landmark. So yeah, I think it's really, really good. And obviously you're a massive advocate for women's and women's sets. So I think for Panini to then get on the bandwagon and release the Don Ross, I think it's going to be really, really good, especially in time, obviously, with the Women's World Cup as well. So yeah, I'm interested when the checklist comes out for that, to see what's on there, what autos they've got. And obviously Leah hasn't actually signed for Topps, so whether she's signed for Panini or not. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting release. Hopefully the boxes are going to be a fairly good price point. I Don Ross tends to be normally fairly okay. So I think, yeah, this is definitely a step in the right direction. Hopefully Topps will announce potentially another year of women's Topps Chrome, or another set, hopefully in the near future. But yeah, it's definitely a positive for them to release their women's Don Ross.
Yeah, and through some people I know more into the women's side of it, but there is a rumor going around as well that they're bringing out like a women's World Cup Adrenaline XL set, which would be very good. Obviously, the Adrenalines are more aimed at the younger market, so hopefully getting more people in would be absolutely fantastic. And the women's World Cup stickers are due out anytime soon. The pre-orders went live on the German site last Friday, and I think they're due out on the UK site this week. So, like I say, it's really promising. Obviously, sadly, there's been no news on Chrome in the Topps world, or even maybe a fight. And so I thought they might do a premium set, which hopefully they've still got to announce, but we're still left a bit wanting on that side of it. But like I say, it's a very good step in the right direction for the Don Ross, and I think it's going to be a really good one. I'll probably try and get my hands on a box of that when it comes out, and people will know, and I will no doubt get quite a few DMs off people when it comes out. Oh, I've got this women's Don Ross box breaking. Do you fancy taking the spot? Because they know they've absolutely suckered me in, and they probably will be buying. I haven't
It's in the bio, isn't it, Ron? It's in the bio.
Yeah, I'm just going to get at it at everything. Literally, it'd be great. I haven't decided which player. When I see the checklist, I'll work out which player I really be going after. But there was another release this week, which one of our good friends, El Toro Cards, obviously Jason, is a massive fan of Star Wars, and they actually had Star Wars Chrome come out this week, and an announcement they're doing Sapphire Star Wars as well. I was watching TFF break some last night, and it really reminded me of the women's stuff from last year. It was like a lot of numbered stuff, some really cool autos. Obviously, I'm not a big Star Wars fan. I watched the first couple of films, so I know some of the older characters, but not some of the newer ones. But I don't know if you agree with this. I was having a conversation with someone about this. Exactly the same thing was, it's good to see like Topps get the license for Star Wars, but now I'm thinking of what other sets I could want. Like, imagine, I know for example, you'd be interested in this one. Imagine like a Harry Potter Topps Chrome or something. How good would that be?
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see what licensing they can get for certain either films or like I said series. And obviously they released Stranger Things, obviously Netflix released the Stranger Things stuff. But if they were to bring like a Harry Potter Topps Chrome, I mean they've already brought out a lot of very good Harry Potter sets. I think even Panini or Topps released the limited edition box. It was limited to like 159 or something, I think it was. But yeah, if there was just like a Harry Potter Topps Chrome, I mean, how popular? I mean, I think Trade We break a box of the Star Wars. I think it's like a Luke Skywalker. They pull like an orange to 25, I think, if I remember rightly. But yeah, I mean, it does open up a lot of can of worms in terms of what else they could be releasing, what the films they can get licensing for. But yeah, I think the one on everyone's top of everyone's list is probably going to be the Harry Potter Topps Chrome. But yeah, it depends, I guess. It's interesting to see what route they may go down, what route links, I think, popularity into the hobby. And I guess you go from there. But it's definitely opens up a whole new door in terms of what else they could potentially release in the Topps Chrome world.
Yeah, and I think obviously why I think a lot of people will be looking at, obviously Panini do hold the rights for Harry Potter, but obviously it's come on Netflix this week. All the films, which everyone is going to be binge watching. Everyone knows that. I've done it already. It's just,
me too.
It's just perfect being what an idea that was to bring on. But it's stuff like that. They can, if Panini, obviously they do a lot of anniversary stuff. That I think, remember a couple of years ago they did a 20th anniversary of obviously the Philosopher's Stone coming out, which was a great idea. But it's just wondered more if it goes into more of the culture realm. Obviously they've done it in America before for like the Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, Star Trek, and all of these. But it's quite now seeing them branch out. Obviously, I think Fanatics are going to be very good at that because they're going to hold so many more licenses that you're going to see Star Wars, more of that, more Harry Potter potentially, and more of these franchises. It's only going to go one way, and it appeals to so many people. It's like I said, I have no interest of collecting Star Wars cards, but I was watching breaks of it just because it looks great, and like seeing people pull Yoda cards and Chewbacca cards, which is just great to see. And that was actually a perfect interlude because I know that we've both been watching Golden on Netflix. What was your thoughts about that series? Because I actually rather enjoyed it because I think it opened up more than just the cards.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I took away from it the most, I think, in terms of it wasn't purely based around cards. I think obviously a lot of us in the hobby just see Golden as a marketplace for cards. Whereas when we actually take a step back and look at the bigger picture, it's very heavy in memorabilia, or the Netflix series was anyway. There's obviously the big Lewis Hamilton Superfractor 1/1 auto, obviously from 2020 Chrome, that was obviously featured in the series. And I mean, was it a 15-year-old kid bought a pack from a store for like 25 euros? Was it 50 euros, something like that? I think it was, I remember rightly. And he's pulled the card. 30, yeah. No, because they were French. I think it was like 30 euros, something like that. But I mean, to then come away with it and you get a card worth, I mean, what? Because I think he was originally for like, was it 750k or something?
Yeah, and then
and they met in person, and it was like he wrote a check in front of him and said, "Listen, that's my final offer." And he was like, "Yeah." And I mean,
I think it was double. I think about 1.5. I think minimum 1.5 on that. Because
see, I read it. I mean, I didn't read it. Obviously, didn't actually know how much it actually was. But I had to guess it would be in a million. But I thought it might be like 1.1.
I think what it was is like any of I think we've all been in the thing of, even if it's on eBay, PWCC, or Golden, that there's a card on auction, and you just know that you don't want 1, 2, 3, 4. You can like his philosophy and his mind was there could be 10 other bidders who are big time spenders. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton 1/1 Superfractor Chrome first edition. You're just never going to get that again. Once someone buys it, it's never coming up. So you've got to make that offer. And that's a good thing about, I've done it recently on eBay, whereas they have it open for offer. And I'm like, I might have to go down that route, because the worst thing is if you have something and then you lose it, especially how many people out there have done it on eBay. You wake up in the morning or whatever it is, and you've lost by like $1. There's not a worse feeling out there than losing out on a card that you nearly had.
Yeah, I think, even like we saw the 2020 Superfractor non-auto go for $900,000. So you think an auto, you got to be adding at least 400,000 on top of that. So but as I said, the whole documentary to me was just about the whole memorabilia as well. How like Ken's flying out to these different states and looking at these collections of jerseys Pell's got, flying her back over and putting down holding deposits of like $5 million. And it's like, I mean, it's just a different ball game. Like, it really is. So I think it'd be sick to work there and see the whole process and going out to meet clients. I remember when they went to this one person's house up into his like attic, they called it in America, and there's just all these boxes of cars labeled like perfectly in chronological order, number order, even like such like the TY bears. I mean, some of them were worth I don't know how much, like. But yeah, it was a really eye-opening sort of like series, and I really, really enjoyed it. I went into it thinking it was going to be very heavily about cards. But I guess it wasn't until you actually watched it to realize it's not. There's a very few cards in there. It's very heavy on memorabilia, and even sort of like the musician memorabilia. So that's like the Michael Jackson hat, the dress Britney Spears wore, and they're going for like tens of thousands of dollars, and it's like this is nuts. But no, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a really cool series, and one that we very much associate Goldin with selling cards, but it really is a much bigger world out there than just that. There being an auction market.
Yeah, and obviously talking about auction markets, there was some news coming out of America. Obviously, Goldin, one of their competitors, especially in the card world, is PWCC, which actually was or in the process of being acquired by Fanatics. Obviously, Fanatics are going full out in the card world, and no doubt they will branch out into the collectibles market and everything like that. But Fanatics acquiring PWCC is just another show of their hand within the hobby that they're trying to take over now. They've got a clear business plan now. They've got Topps, they've got Panini, they've got PWCC as an auction house. They're going to be launching their own whatnot equivalent like Fanatics Live. I was talking to someone the other day, and I felt the only thing they don't really have now is a grading company. And I was thinking about it, like they have the product, they sell and make the product. They're going to have a platform for people to buy their product and sell their product on it and get money on that. And now when people buy the boxes off them to sell them, the people who buy the spots in the breaks are going to sell it through PWCC. So literally the only step of the process they don't have is going to be grading. So it'd be interesting down the line whether they acquire one of the other grading companies or even set up their own ones. Obviously, there's quite a few going around, like your tag grading, arena club, stuff like that. Or they just go to, you know how they work. They show their hand maybe with a Beckett, who are not doing as well, but Beckett is still a massive company. Same with SGC. PSA, I think, is out of the question because obviously they was brought up by the collectors group. But it's good to see Fanatics really getting invested. And the best thing as well is there's collectors at the heart of it and at the business mind as well.
Yeah, I think Fnatic's been in the pipeline for a little while now in terms of like branching out into the hobby. I think it's only a matter of time until they eventually made the first step, like they did in terms of buying PWCC. So yeah, I think the grading company, the grading aspect of it, I think is going to be another talking point because I think they're never going to get in. I don't know. We say this, Fanatics could do anything, but I think it would take a lot for them to have any say in PSA. But you said, like I said, potentially Beckett, potentially SGC. But if they were to come out and make their own grading company, that's going to be a whole nother kettle of fish in terms of how they're going to improve that to bring it up to speed with, like you said, Beckett, SGC, PSA. But yeah, it's just good. It's really positive. There's obviously literally just basically chucked themselves straight into the deep end. And like I said, in terms of a step-by-step guide, they've pretty much covered every base apart from the grading aspect. So yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting sort of the next few months to see what hand Fanatics play and what their next few moves are. But I say it's been in the pipeline for a little while now, so it's gonna be a matter of time until something happened that the board moved forward. So yeah, it's very interesting, very positive, and so hopefully we look forward to seeing what their next plan of action is.
Yeah, and also the last big talking point for this, a few little ones, is that there has been a bit of a scandal going around in the card world in terms of Panini redemptions. There was obviously a big redemption. There was a collector waiting for and has got the proof on their ticket of it was a dual on-card auto logo man rookie of Jason Tatum, obviously the Boston Celtics NBA player, and Lonzo Ball when he was at the Lakers. And we're talking Jason Tatum is just been knocked out of the NBA playoffs in this, but one of the top 10 players in the league. On-card auto redemption. Obviously, Lonzo Ball's not playing at the moment, but we're talking a big ticket item here. And for people who don't know, this card appeared up on one of the auction sites, I think it was. Someone was selling it. So someone has got the card that someone's, and it's a one of one. So it's not even like it's to 5 or to 3 that there's another option out there. But 1 of 1, which someone's waiting for on their redemption ticket, has appeared somewhere else. And more following on from that, there was a Cristiano Ronaldo as well, 1 of 1 National Treasures auto that has now emerged, that someone's still got the ticket outstanding for that. And that's now come up on Golden, I think it was. So it's obviously a massive problem for Panini, this. And obviously it's one of them that I feel like Panini in a bit of a weird position at the moment, obviously being acquired by Fanatics. By all accounts, there's been quite a lot of changing around of hierarchy at Panini. But obviously the redemption system has never been the greatest. A lot of times people just give up after 120 days when they offer you some sort of compensation. But when it's a base card, you can go under the radar a bit. However, having big ticket items fall into someone else's collection or someone else who's been waiting for it, it's a bit unbelievable, really, of a company of that size to mess up that much, really.
Yeah, I think, you pretty much hit the nail on the head there in terms of a company like Panini to be able to mess up that drastically. For someone to be sat at home with a redemption ticket that's been redeemed and waiting on the outcome, and the card yet in question appears up on Golden or appears up on another auction house. And it's like, how has that happened? Is it an internal thing where somebody is messing around with the redemptions? Is it a case of they actually put the redemption card in there? There's a whole world of different things that could have led to the problem, but the problem is the problem. And it's like, it should never have got to that point where someone's got a redemption card of said card, yet said card already exists and is already up on an auction site that somebody already owns. So yeah, it's definitely poses a lot of questions in terms of how do Panini do it? How authentic is it? And what are they doing now to rectify the issue in terms of a card worth X amount? Are they then just offering an alternative card? Are they offering, what are they offering? Is it one of them like 1 of 1 gold box, the black boxes, whatever they're called, or the Panini white, whatever the boxes are called? So yeah, it just poses a lot of questions in terms of how has it happened and what they're going to do to rectify it. But the sheer panic when that guy must have seen the card up on Golden, and you've got the redemption waiting to be redeemed. So yeah, it's just interesting. Like I said, a company like Panini, that should never be happening. They should never make that much of an issue or that much of a situation. But I think it's all about now is how they're gonna sort of, pardon the pun, redeem it.
See, he's been queuing that one. I swear we haven't even. He's been preparing that one just in case that joke.
Up my sleeve that one was, mate.
And I think it's going to be one that would be interesting to see. I think someone was saying that in the inner workings of the terms and conditions, it's like if it's over 120 days, it's technically not liable, Panini, but obviously most of the time they still warrant it, and especially if a card of that magnitude. Obviously, there's 2 of them cards anyway made. One of 1s. There's always 2 of them. Even though it sounds weird, they always have a replacement, obviously, in case one's damaged, that you can send it back in. So, like you say, it might have been an error that the people, it come out of a white box, and rather than stamping it, which it should have been, they just haven't stamped it, which is then obviously a big problem, because then rather than being just a general, it's a repackaged product, it's now actually a liable in card. And it's just the value completely differs between a white box and a completely raw one. But like I say, if we do see any more updates, and that will keep you updated on that. But I was reading an interesting thing on Twitter, and this is a bit of a did you know? It was confirmed but I was trying to work out if this was true or not. And obviously the magnetic cases that people put cards in, it comes in 2 variations, one with a gold magnet and one with a silver magnet. And did you know the ones with gold magnet have better UV protection than the silver one, which has hardly any UV protection? I bet you didn't know that one.
I did not know that one, no.
So the silver one is an older model that was older one, and the gold ones are normally the newer ones. So if you ever buy mags, the actual better ones to go for, the ones with the gold magnets, because they're newer and better for your gold.
I'm just going to check all of my mags now and see if I've got any gold or silver.
Yeah, I literally done the same thing. I was reading it. I was like, this can't be true. And then I was reading like a few people, and there's one of the businesses in America who deal with all the mags, literally said, do look out, we don't stock the silver ones no more, because the gold ones are the ones to serve, because they're actually better.
Yeah.
So, fun fact for everyone that people might not have known. So
the gift that keeps on giving, Ronnie, mate. I want this every week now. I want Ronnie's fun fact of the week.
Oh, I'm
I
gonna
want,
have
to bring,
to.
I want you to bring a new fun fact every week to the podcast.
Yeah, I might not top that one, but that's quite a good one to start the new segment. That was quite a new one, that one. But obviously, I think it's just stuff like that. It don't matter how long you've been in the hobby, you're always gonna find something new or find something else out new.
Yeah.
That's definitely one for my one this week because I had no idea about that at all. Up until literally, I was reading it, I was like, "Nah, this can't be true." And then I actually done some research into it. And it proves to be real. So, if you can get the option of gold mags, so the little circle bit where it actually magnets together, go for the gold option because they're the better one. So, keep that in mind. I'm going to actually now look at all my mags after this and see which of what cards I've got left. There's barely any in mags. Going to go and see if there's any silver or gold ones. But obviously, the segment we always love and talk about before we talk about one last thing is our pickups. And we do always have some pickups. I know you've actually had quite a successful week on your end. I've had some decent little purchases as well. So whereas for the last 8 weeks on their average, it's been 2 or 3 cards, been quite a good week. So why don't you take away some of your purchases? Because they are some very good ones.
Yeah, I've actually been quite fortunate this last couple of days in terms of what I managed to pick up. Not none of the cards are in hand yet. They've all issued bought them all in the last 48 hours, so they're all currently being shipped to the fishes fast. But yeah, so we've got a Pierre Gasly sit and pose Sapphire base PSA 9. So that obviously is a nicer pickup. And also I was talking about in the last episode where I've got the base and the aqua. So I've now got the base sapphire to add into that. Picked up another 1 of 1 Gunther Steiner, the printing plate from 2021 Chrome. Not quite the red to 5 that I am so desired. But it's another 1 of 1 to add to the Gunther collection. I picked up a Lightning McQueen PSA 10 base from Disney Kakao. I was gutted because I missed out on one of those towards the end of last week. And I saw a few come back on the market last night. So I put a bid on there and woke up this morning, UK time, obviously, and had won that. So I was quite excited about that. Picked up a Marquinhos camo from Select. And I'm also potentially, hopefully in the process of picking up the one that Ronnie's going to be very jealous of, is a Granite Xhaka Zebra to 25 from Select as well. So yeah, a very successful week.
Yeah, I think, like I say, it seems like it goes in waves. Really. Well, it always does help when the wave always hits near payday. That's always the way. I actually picked up some nice bits as well. Obviously, everyone knows me and Granite Xhaka. I actually picked up a couple of selects. I picked up I think a Selector 75 and a Selector 99. I think one's orange and one's green. I think I can't even remember one of them. I was got in a dual deal with a camo Marquinhos, who's obviously going to my lovely co-host HJA. So we've got a nice combined deal on that. And then my main pickup this week, there was a couple, but the main one mainly is a Beth Mead Inferno, obviously rookie from Chrome, which I managed to get for around the $18 posted. So in America, which I am very happy about with conversion. I think it works out about 15 quid, which I know if that was at a show over here, it'd probably have at least 45 to 50 on it. So that was my main pickup. And then I did get a bundle of old Futera cards for Arsenal. When I mean old ones, they're newer ones on demand. And 9 cards, and I got them for about £3 a piece. Whereas when you buy them directly from Futera, they're about 16 quid a piece. So very happy with that deal. It features I think it's a Saliba with his first goal against Bournemouth, Jesus' first goal, a Smith Rowe when he scored at Leicester, and a few other ones as well. Player of the month, I think there's a player of the month, Ben White, Ramsdale. So very happy with that deal, especially when the bundles work out like £3 a card, which some of them I nearly bought for the full price. So very happy with that one. But obviously now the season has concluded. We're now approaching the Champions League, Europa League, Conference League, and FA Cup finals. And then a lot of product seems to be delayed. So whereas obviously everyone's hoping for immaculate, obsidian, impeccable, if you are waiting for any of them, I do recommend you check the Panini website because some of them have been delayed 3 to 4 weeks. And I believe it's Obsidian has been delayed to August. So by the time the new season's starting, we'll be getting old season stock again. But a bit similar to the women's Donruss, it is releasing the day after the final, which is rather intriguing. So you wait for the whole tournament and then you get the set the day after. But obviously, it's going to be a bit of a quieter period. Hopefully, prices will start to slowly come down now the season's finished. But do you think, obviously, now shows are happening, but it seems the whole soccer market in general is a bit quiet, including breaking. So do you think this is, obviously it happens every year, people mass panic, it happens every year, but it's nice this rest period, pick up a bit cheaper, get some deals. And I think that's one thing I've seen the most on Instagram this week. Let's make some deals or trade deals. It's just good to see rather than everyone charging premium, which is fair enough, but nice when you can actually get the deals, because the collector's market in the UK is a collector's market. It's not really a flipping market.
Yeah, definitely. I think, the card shows obviously are what keeps the hobby alive in terms of potentially in the off season where football isn't happening. But yeah, definitely. I said I'm looking forward to pick up a few easy deals here and there now the football is in the off season and where the market quietens down a little bit. But like we said, even with the new release coming out, with Inception, that the market was definitely booming, or the hobby show was definitely booming. When that was sort of pictured. So yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a quieter period, I think. But hopefully, some more cards come out of the woodwork, and like I said, when in a little bit quieter. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what the next few months bring. I'm looking forward to seeing Luton in Panini Prism next year. But it's going to be an interesting one. But yeah, I'm sure it will be a good few months. Obviously, we've got London again, obviously in August. So yeah, I think it's very much a little countdowns on until then. But yeah, it's going to be a little quiet a few months now. Like we said, hopefully some good products to keep us going, and obviously, yeah, some good shows coming up as well.
Yeah, like I say, there's quite a few shows coming up. Obviously, we know there's Manchester has just been, there's South Coast coming up. Well, South Coast after London, but London, also Scotland card show, and plenty of others, which we'll hopefully be getting to. Like I say, make sure you still look after all your breakers and everything like that, because it's a quieter period, but there's still some good products being ripped all over the place and good to watch as well. Like, for example, Tennis Chrome has gone down a treat, even though it's sadly not the best checklist, but with tennis, it's very much different that you don't buy the rights to everyone like the Premier League. You've got to do it individually, and the likes of Federer, Djokovic, Murray, and Nadal are not going to be cheap. So they haven't gone with them for the first one, but who knows in the future. But it's like we say, we've got some good guests lined up, which will be joining us on the podcast, and hopefully some cool in-person podcasts coming very soon as well. So, like we say, it's been an absolute pleasure yet again. The support has been crazy on the podcast. We appreciate every single one of you watching, listening, or doing whatever. But like we say, thank you ever so much for joining us yet again on another episode of the Top Loaded Podcast. Until next time, I hope everyone out there is buying, selling, trading, and all that good jazz. But most importantly, happy hobbying and good night.